ESPN released a survey this morning in which executives, scouts, coaches, a mixture of all three, were asked to rank the quarterbacks in the NFL. And of course, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, a touchy subject in Philadelphia, touchy subject on this show particularly, but Jalen Hurts ranked 9th by the executive scouts and coaches in the NFL. I'll give you my take in a second, but here was James Jones of FS1 commenting on this earlier today.
Yeah, looking at that right there, that's awful. And you can think whatever you want to think about Jalen Hurts, but there should never be a list to where Justin Herbert is in front of Jalen Hurts. I don't really care about what type of talent and all that you're talking about. And then Jaden Daniels is going to be a superstar in this league. I truly believe that. But I cannot put him in front of Jalen Hurts, who's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's had 1 good year. Do I think at the end of this, when it's all said and done, could he possibly be better? Yes, absolutely. But right now, as we're talking right now, after 1 year, no. And then I see Justin Herbert at 7, who hasn't won a playoff game. This boy been to more Super Bowls than you won playoff games. And we're talking about Justin Herbert's a better quarterback to him. I cannot do that. I think this is disrespectful to Jalen Hurts right here. This is an awful list when you have Jalen Hurts at 9 and those 2 dudes in front of him.
Now, the way this list broke down, as you heard James Jones mention there, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, and Matt Stafford. Those were all the guys ranked above Jalen Hurts. He came in at number 9. Now, I'll say this to start. I would rank Jalen Hurts higher than 9. Before people start freaking out, screaming rage bait, stuff like that, I would rank Jalen Hurts higher than 9, but I'll say this in regards to the ranking. I don't think 9 is egregious when you look at the rankings here. And I want to know if you agree. 215-592-9494 if you want to get in. Do you think it's egregious? Do you think it's disrespectful for Jalen Hurts to be ranked 9th? I don't. And I'll explain it like this. It's based on your criteria. If you were evaluating this based on last year's regular season, which I'm imagining was probably how this was mostly judged here, I think 9 is totally fair. Like, people might not like some of the guys that are ahead of him here, but, you look at Daniels, you look at Herbert, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, I think they all, maybe with Stafford being the exception, I think they all probably had better regular seasons than Jalen Hurts last year. So I don't think that's a crazy ranking to have. Now, if you're taking everything into consideration, you're taking team success into consideration, playoff performance, etc., then yeah, I don't think there's any way where Justin Herbert and Jared Goff should be in front of him. I mean, Justin Herbert and Jared Goff, specifically Herbert, they had terrible postseasons. I mean, Goff turned the ball over like 4 times against Washington. Herbert, for years now, has been a choker. I mean, they had that 27-0 lead against the Jaguars a few years ago. He played absolutely awful in their playoff game this past year against Houston. And I would take that into account. But if it's based on the entirety of the season and how these guys performed in the regular season, then 9's about right for Jalen Hurts. And I know this kind of upsets people every single time where a list comes out and they think Jalen's being slighted and it's unfair, but I don't think it's that crazy. And when I look at Jalen Hurts, I'd have him ranked 6th right now. I would have him below the top 4, which I think are unquestionably Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Like, if I'm taking a quarterback to start my team, I'm probably taking one of those 4. And then 5th, I'll be honest, I'd have Jaden Daniels above Jalen Hurts right now. I mean, Jalen Hurts obviously won a Super Bowl, but Jaden Daniels in his first year, I think carried a team that we knew what Washington was before this season, before they had a quarterback. That was a team that was not very good. The one major thing that changed with Washington from a roster perspective, obviously they brought in Dan Quinn. He's I'd say a decent head coach. I don't think he's a great head coach, but Jaden Daniels was the main roster change that they made, and look at the impact that had on their team. So I'd have him number 5, and that's not hating, it's just reality. And if you asked if you can take a quarterback to start your team, yeah, I'd take Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts right now, but I still think 6th is pretty damn good. I think big games do matter, which is why I would not have him 9th. I'd have him 6th on the list. I definitely have him above Stafford. I'd have him above Goff. I'd have him above Herbert. But I think when you look at the list, if the criteria is how did these guys perform during the last regular season, I don't think 9's outrageous. And I know people scream about it, people be upset about it. I don't think it's crazy, and I want to know how you feel. 215-592-9494, 215-592-9494. We'll get to the phones on this in a second, but I'll ask you, Justin, do you think 9 is egregious for Jalen Hurts being ranked in this ESPN list?
Yeah, I think 9 is absolutely egregious. And I understand what you're saying about this criteria, but I think that criteria in itself is flawed. To not take into consideration the intangibles and the postseason is fraudulent. And you're saying that you would like a quarterback like Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts. If you were starting a team from scratch, you would draft him over Jalen Hurts, which doesn't make sense to me because the intangibles are the most important thing I look at when I'm talking about a quarterback to lead my team, to lead my franchise. And Jalen Hurts has those things. Jaden Daniels was doing emotes in the end zone while scoring down 3 scores in the NFC Championship game. That's not a guy I want leading my team. It's immature stuff like that I don't like.
Jaden Daniels played great in that game. He's not the reason Washington lost.
I understand that. Jaden Daniels has a little bit of growing up to do, and part of that is the intangibles that Jalen Hurts has. He is mature enough I don't need to worry about him doing stupid stuff like that would piss me off.
I didn't have the same impression of Jaden Daniels in that game. Like, when he scored that touchdown, that made it 34-23. And I'll just say this. I was terrified of Jaden Daniels.
And he was doing
that
emotes.
Entire game.
Oh, my God.
What is he? What are emotes?
He was like dancing in the, he's like dancing in the end zone.
Yeah.
Emote is like an emotion.
I don't care about that stuff. Whatever. I mean, the guy scores a touchdown, fine.
Down. You score a touchdown when your team's still down.
And I would agree. Like, Jalen Hurts, his performance in big games is like
unquestionable.
It should absolutely be taken into account. There's no question about it. And I think with Jalen Hurts, you look at the fact, and I think the best thing he has going for him at this point in his career is the 3 best games that he's played were the 3 biggest games of his career. The 2 Super Bowls and the NFC Championship game this year. The NFC Championship game in 2022, that game was over the second Brock Purdy got hurt, so you can kind of throw that in the trash right away. But I do think, like, there's an alternate universe here that we need to at least entertain. Where what if Jalen Carter doesn't sack Matt Stafford? We're having a completely different conversation about Jalen and this team this year. Because if Carter doesn't make that play and the Rams score, what are we talking about with Jalen all offseason? That Jalen wasn't good enough, that the offense wasn't good enough, and that cost the Eagles the Super Bowl. Are we not?
But you're talking about hypotheticals that didn't happen. What did happen is Jalen Carter did get that sack. What did happen is the Eagles did win the Super Bowl on the back of Jalen Hurts. So these hypotheticals don't matter to me because the Eagles did win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts did carry the Eagles to a Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts is behind Justin Herbert on this list, who didn't win a playoff game.
I agree, and that matters. And I think 9 is probably too low. Like, I do. I think 9 is too low. I don't think 6 is too low at all. Like, I think 6 is totally fair, and that's the thing.
The only problem in the 6 I have is Jaden Daniels, just because it's 1 year. It's the same thing a couple years ago. Everybody had C.J. Stroud above Jalen Hurts, and it didn't make any sense. And then, look, C.J. Stroud fell back down to earth.
Well, I think Jaden Daniels is better than C.J. Stroud.
But let's give it another year to see. You don't even really know what the guy has.
But we're judging on right now. Like, we're judging on what we saw this past year.
And what I saw this past year is Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl.
No, he did. He absolutely did. But we can't just take that and just dismiss the entire rest of the season. Like, I think it all plays into it. And I think when you take it all into account, I mean, 6 is about right. Like, in that 6 to 10 range, I think that's totally fair for Hurts. And again, the one that bothered me more than any is Herbert. Like,
yes,
Herbert
I agree.
Should not be above Hurts. I would agree with that. But
Goff, neither should Goff.
But Goff,
Stafford was bad all year.
Stafford, I would agree too. I've thought Stafford was overrated for a while now. And I would have Hurts in front of Goff, but Goff did have a much better regular season than Jalen Hurts did. He had a terrible playoff game, which is why I personally would put Jalen in front of him. But I don't think we can just look at the last couple games and say, Jalen won the World Series, we can throw the rest of the year out. I don't look at it that way. Yeah, he did win the Super Bowl.
You said World Series.
Sorry. Mixing up my sports here. But I don't think we can look at Jalen winning the Super Bowl and just throw out the rest of the season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't, at the same time, I don't think it's fair because you were saying earlier that the ESPN list's criteria is the regular season. I don't think that's fair to just look at the regular season.
Well, that's what I'd imagine.
I would personally weigh playoff and postseason success far heavier than regular season success.
I agree with you. I agree with you in that way. I would have him above those three guys, but I wouldn't have him above Daniels right now. I would have if you told me right now, I can start a franchise. I can take either Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels. I'm taking Jaden Daniels.
I hear the argument. I disagree with it.
Okay, fair enough. But I'd love to get the audience's take as well. Jalen Hurts 9th. Do you think it's egregious? I think it's wrong. I don't agree with it. Would not have Jalen Hurts 9. I'd have him 6th. But if the criteria is the regular season, I can at least understand it. And I can understand how you get to that point. Again, I don't agree with it. I would have Jalen 6th, but do I think it's the most disrespectful thing in the world? No. And I think, I just think people get too sensitive with this stuff, with Jalen Hurts. And there's no question about it, man. He came through big in the biggest moments, and I was wrong last year. I thought in the postseason, I thought that Jalen's shortcomings, I thought Jalen's play was going to cost the Eagles. In the end, he was able to play his ass off in that Washington game and in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles were able to win those games. But I don't discount the rest of the season. I don't just look at the rest of the season and say, oh, well, Jalen played great in those last two games, so we can forget about the Rams game. We can forget about the Packers game when the offense wasn't great. We can forget about the rest of the season when the storyline all year long was, is quarterback play going to stop this team? I think 6 is totally fair. I think 6 is totally fair for Jalen Hurts. But want to know where you fall? Where would you have him ranked? Do you think 9 is disrespectful? And more than anything else, do you think 6 is disrespectful? That's where I have him. 9, I think most people would agree, is too low. I think it's too low as well. But where would you have Jalen Hurts ranked and why?